Monday, October 21. I'll do a roll call here. Joyce, I see, Gary, and myself, Matt Wissing. So we have 3 people. So we have a quorum at least. We'll see who else joins us. I thought Mario said by email, because he replied all, that he was going to be here, and I bumped into him the other day, but I didn't even ask him about it since I read his reply. But first, we will look at the minutes of the September meeting, which was September 16th. Does anyone have any corrections or questions? I know, Joyce, you were gone. But I looked through them previously and they look fine to me, but I'll leave it up to you two to see if you have any questions or corrections. So, and if there are no questions or corrections, I will ask for approval of the September 16th minutes. I guess I'll have to ask you two to do all the.
I'll make a motion that would approve our minutes.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the September 16th Housing Commission. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Now we will move to the financial reports for August. Destiny, do you have any information you'd like to elaborate on?
I don't believe so. Our August financials are ready. We tabled them last month, so
Right.
this is a full financial report for August. Don't believe there's really anything out of the ordinary to report on.
I do have just one question for you, just basically for any of them, like for the insurances, liability insurance, the property insurance, those are just one payment for the whole year then, aren't
Yep.
they? Okay.
They pay those up.
Yep,
front.
there's a budget line and then the year to date, and
Mhm.
that's, yep.
I can remember when I first asked that question too. I said, how come we're already at 100%?
And then some of the other ones, like the indirect costs, get billed monthly in the data processing.
And then for Heritage, that rental inspections,
Yep,
Thank you.
they just increased it this year for the first time. So it used to be just one flat fee for the whole building. This year they went to charging for each unit. So we weren't aware of that ahead of time to put that in the budget. So
Right.
that's why it shows
so that
over.
gave you kind
So
of.
we paid
yes,
it.
You did explain that.
Yeah, we paid it, but it's
previous,
over
and I
budget.
wasn't sure if that
Yeah.
was the last meeting or not, just to make Joyce aware of that. And to refresh my mind, so.
And public housing is the same way. It went over a little bit as well because of that.
So how often do you have to do an inspection on a rental then?
These are where the city inspector comes in and inspects our properties. These are rental license fees.
Okay, all right.
It's actually not the inspection, it's actual rental license fees, so we pay annually. They actually come and inspect. I think it's like each one is different. It's like every 2 or 3 years that they come in and inspect. The city comes in.
Oh,
It still has to inspect our units because they're rentals.
okay. So how much is that going to be then for a year?
That's for the Heritage is $635 for a
Okay.
year, and for public housing is $775.
Okay.
So we paid the bill, but we weren't aware of it when we did budget, that they were increasing. They
And
used to do it per building, and now they're doing it per unit.
And as far as you know then, like, do you think it might go up next budget year then, or?
Not
who
that I've been
knows?
told, but wasn't aware of this one either. So I budgeted next year for the same fee
Okay.
that they charged us this year.
Now, refresh my memory, Destiny, are the inspections, is that done by somebody in Public Works?
The same ones that do all the other rental units
Uh-huh,
through the city.
That's what I thought.
Mhm.
I was just trying to refresh.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Oh, I didn't realize they put our names on this little screen here.
I just saw
Just
it on this.
noticed that. Okay. Guess we better be on our best behavior here. They can tell who we are, so.
Let her roll, let her roll.
If anybody watches, so. Okay, well, if there's no other questions, I'll ask for approval of the financial reports for August.
I move that we approve the financial report for August.
Second it?
It's been moved and seconded to approve the financial reports for August. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That's been approved. So now we'll go on to September, the financial reports for September.
Yep. And this is a full month reporting. Last month, the month wasn't closed out, but this month it is. So these are what you
Right.
would see.
As you said, it kind of floats a little.
Yeah, they usually close out the month around the 10th to the 12th of they close out the financial statements the 10th through the 12th. So sometimes if our meetings are early in the month, then it creates a problem, which has the last 2 months. But this
Right.
month we're later into the month, so they were done.
Gotcha. Anybody have any questions on the September report? No, you're both still looking, so that's fine. Numbers aren't my quickest read either, so.
We're about a quarter of the way through the fiscal year, so.
And then budgeting times, they start that like after the first of the calendar new year, don't? when they start having-
We've already put in our numbers for 2021. Staff have, then the city goes over that and
Right.
figures out what's working, what's not working, what they
Right,
need
'cause
to do.
I know
But
they have those public meetings
Yeah.
after starting the first of the year.
yep, we just had to put all of our expenditures in by the 15th of the month.
Okay.
Just last week.
Do they ever give you any like preliminary pushback that you're
Well, you can
asking for
see the
too much, or
numbers.
you're not
Yeah,
asking
so we
enough?
know like what our revenue line is. We meet with our revenue people first, so we know how much revenue we're projecting, and then when we go in to do our expenditures, we can look at what we've spent over the last few years. We can look at, what's projected and all of that, and then make our decision. So then we have to balance our
Sure.
expenditures and revenues. So that's all laid out for us, and usually not a lot of wiggle room. But if you know something's coming, or if you don't need something, you just make those adjustments.
Sure. revenue, that's all from from
Our
federal
revenue
money
is all
so far.
federal.
Correct.
Yep. Mhm.
What exactly is memberships and publications?
We have a membership for like our HUD rules. So they send us that every year. Right now, I think we're paying 200. I think it's 199 is what we're paying right now for that service. So it's probably not on here yet. Yeah, we don't have anything. It's budgeted, but we don't have anything that we've actually paid out yet. But if you looked at previous years, that's what you would see. Right now is we're spending $200. They send it to us electronically so that we can look at everything. It's just a model that they send us. That's about the only thing that we use it for anymore. In the past, we used to have a Quad City Times subscription, and then we decided there was no need for it, so we don't have that anymore. But if there's ever been any, in the past managers, there's been different managers that have had memberships to different affiliations, so that would go there. But I'm not a member of anything that I need right now, so.
They don't have a housing association managers club or
Oh,
something?
there's all different kinds, but nothing that I've been involved with yet.
Nothing.
Yeah.
You're too busy doing
There's, yeah,
other
maybe
stuff.
sometime down the road when I've got a better understanding of everything, but
Okay.
right now it's still a learning process.
Sure. Okay, well, if there's no other questions, I'll ask if there is a motion to approve the financial report for September.
I make a motion that we accept the September financials.
I second it.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the financial report for September. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That passes. And now we'll go on to the occupancy report for the month of September.
So we have 2 units vacant for public housing. West 58th is going to be filled November 1st. And West 7th, we have another public housing tenant that is moving into that. So she's just waiting to come up with a little bit more deposit money that she needs to move into that unit, and then both of them will be filled. And then obviously the one tenant that's moving will have that vacant, but we have another tenant that's moving, so it's going to be kind of a monopoly of moving people around because of the bedroom sizes. In the Heritage, we actually have a lot of vacancies all of a sudden. We had a tenant move to a nursing home. We had a tenant that was evicted. We had one tenant that did not give a reason they were moving out. One tenant moved to a handicap unit, so still in the building. One tenant moved out because his ex-girlfriend was dating another gentleman in the building and he wasn't happy about it, so he moved out.
So you
And-
get drama too.
Yes, and we had one tenant that passed away. So we have 6 vacancies right now that Kelly's working on filling. So it's quite that's quite a few all at once. So she's doing the best she can to get people polled and
Sure.
have them. She works ahead, so she already has people kind of ready to move in, but not 6. So she's pretty busy with that. And then for Section 8, so I know I've explained this to you guys in the past, but Joyce might not understand. So the way we have been doing it is we bill people that port here from other agencies. So that housing authority would still continue paying for the voucher, and we would collect the admin fee revenue for that. However, since our numbers have been so low and we actually need more people on our waiting list, on our program, we actually went ahead and absorbed everybody that we were billing for. So now all of those vouchers become ours. So I just absorbed, I think, roughly 40 people. as of November 1st. So right now we're not billing anybody. We've absorbed everybody. Everybody's on our program. And then I just reported to HUD our numbers for the month of September. And we have like 30 vouchers out on the street, people actually out looking for places to live. So hopefully next month we'll see our numbers increase down here. We're still just holding steady. Unfortunately, we want to see that number quite a bit higher than what it is. We have to use as many and as much money as we can without going over. So I've got people working overtime and really getting in gear, trying to get people pulled from the waiting list. We just have a lot of issues with when they do like the background checks on them. If they don't disclose that information, unfortunately, we can't lease them up. Or some of them just have felonies that are against program rules. And there's just so much we can do for those people. So still trying to pull from our waiting list actively, but not getting our numbers up where we really want them yet.
On the numbers for Heritage, the lady that caused the fire that you had there, is that still pending, or is she gone?
She moved out.
Okay.
She was in 610, that's already been leased up.
Have you had many hearings where you have to have your hearing officer?
We usually have a couple a month.
Okay. I'm sure you'll get those all filled up there. I know there's kind of a ebb and flow for you.
Yeah, well,
depending
and
on-
when it gets colder, it's harder to get people motivated to move too.
Oh,
but
sure.
but I
I
mean,
don't like motivating.
right. But we have about a year waiting list right now for the Heritage, so we've got plenty of people on the waiting list. It's
Right.
just a matter
I
of getting
thought
through all
that
the
was always
paperwork
the
process.
case.
Yeah.
I mean, it has
We only have one person that works with the Heritage, so it's just a matter of her getting through all the paperwork and
Sure.
pulling people.
Sure. Okay, there any other questions on our occupancy? If not, I'll move or ask someone to move for acceptance of our occupancy report for September.
I move to accept the occupancy report.
I
for
second it.
September.
Sure, okay, it's been moved and seconded to pass the occupancy report for the month of September. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, that passes. So,
So I brought a calendar
correct.
for the commission. We had talked about moving our dates, but unfortunately we're missing 2 people, so it's gonna be kind of hard to go over.
That's what,
So I can, maybe I'll just scan these and email to everybody so everybody can look at it.
that'd be great. I was gonna say.
Because
the
I don't
more-
know what's gonna, I didn't really get a lot of feedback through email, but if everybody can kind of look at this calendar, I know you don't work, right? And you don't work, so it's just gonna be a matter of you, Yolanda, and Mario trying to figure out what works
Right.
for everybody,
Usual.
Yeah, I have no
as far
problem.
as work schedules.
You do have.
I have no problem.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know
Try to get
what's,
a heads up.
it's gonna be tough. There's really no other Monday that's going to work at our 4 o'clock time,
Other than
the one
what
we
was
have right
scheduled.
now, or moving it up to the second one, which that's not gonna help us, cause we were trying to move it further out because of
Right.
financial statements. So moving it up a week is not gonna do any good. Council's in here Tuesday, Wednesdays. So as far as if we keep it at 4 o'clock, there's just really, unless you guys wanna do it on a Friday, which I personally don't, but that's totally up to you guys. So
We're gonna
that's,
spite you. No.
so I will send this out, everybody can look at it and see, we can talk about it next meeting again if we want to.
Okay. No, that'd be great. I was gonna suggest.
Yeah, and
just
then
what you're reading my mind.
I printed some information here, for the payment standards, if we, if we wanted to have discussion on increasing it, but again, since we're short people, I'll just give this to you guys for, your guys to look at until next meeting, and then maybe we can discuss it with the other two, and I'll send this out through email as well. This, Amy just, did a lot of legwork before I came here today and sent me out what a lot of the places, not a lot, but what some of the places are charging for the different bedroom sizes. Right now we're using the 105%, and I know when you guys approved the 105%, we discussed going to 110 if we saw an issue with it. So I just want to give you guys this information to kind of look at. There was a gentleman that stopped in our office today. He was going to try and make the meeting today, but he hasn't. He works with New Choices, and he has two people that are on Section 8 that he works with. And he said the problem that they're finding is they have to pay application fees when they go to these places to try and lease up. And if they're too high, once we do the paperwork, then they don't get that application fee back. So they're having to pay these application fees, and then finding out that these
The New Choices Group.
yeah, this was a
Now,
guy. This
were
is a
they-
gentleman that works for New Choices. He has two people on Section 8, and he was just stating his issue with our payment standards. He obviously I was advocating for them to be higher, and his reasoning was because they go and pay an application fee and then find out that they're a few bucks too short, you know, and they can't lease up. So then they have to go somewhere else, and if they have an application fee, they have to pay another application fee. So that was his reasoning for wanting to see it higher. Amy just put some quick numbers together before I came, so I just copied her email here just to show what other places are charging. And just keep in mind that this is with them leasing up at 30% of their income. They can go up to 40% of their income, so they can go over these numbers a little bit as far as our payment standard, but obviously we want to keep them at the 30%. We don't want them to go up to 40% unless they want to. We don't encourage them to do that because the purpose of the program is to be leased up at 30% of their income.
Now, let me, New Choices, that's a private agent. I'm not familiar with them.
Yeah, they work with handicapped individuals and special needs to help them with whatever it is that I don't exactly know their program very well, but that's my understanding of it. Helping them shop and,
Sure.
you know, get dressed, whatever they need help with. So this gentleman that came in this morning, he was actually just coming in to try and find housing for them the two that he works with. And Stephanie got to talking to him out front, and that's the conversation that came up, and was that, you know, they're paying these application fees and then finding out that they don't work for our program. So that's just one person that came in today, so it was just on our mind. But then Amy went through and did a bunch of just give a bunch of data that she has on places that aren't working or are working and what they're charging. And then I went ahead and did the 110% just to show you guys what it would be if we went to 110. But again, this is just information for you guys to look at. Maybe, you know, I would advise you guys to possibly look in the newspapers, look online, see what you see out there for these different bedroom sizes, and keep in mind that they have to be able to pay rent and utilities with this amount, and just, you know, doing your own research, see what's out there and what's affordable for our tenants to find housing.
Okay, just a couple questions for you. Cross Creek, that's a big complex, isn't it?
That's one of our biggest
Up
ones.
on,
It's out by Walmart on Elmore.
yes, I don't mean to be pointy.
Yeah.
Yes, up on,
Yeah. We have
that one.
that's one of our the biggest ones that we work with.
Sure.
And you can see their one bedroom is $734, so that's definitely not going to work for our payment standard now. Possibly with our 110, it'd be pretty close if they went up to 40% of their income. A 2-bedroom is $841. That's not going to work for our payment standard right now, but if we went to 110, then it would. And then the 3-bedroom currently works for our payment standard.
Okay, and
And this isn't anything we're voting on or anything. It's just
Right.
information I'm giving you
no, I
guys.
was just trying to get
to
some
review.
general information. Oceanside 55.
It's just another landlord that we work with. She's just showing you. These are probably some RTAs that she's got in recently. Just showing you guys the numbers. The 1136 right now wouldn't work. At 110, it would be $5 over, so it would work.
Does Oceanside, are they a locally owned company?
Mm-hmm.
Do they have quite a few property? I mean,
We don't have very many with them. No, they're smaller. Yeah, I think these are just some RTAs that she's got in recently. Easy Street's a big one that we've been working with. They have a lot of units.
It's kind of, well, they're like, I thought they bought up places. It's kind of coincidental. I just was chatting with a couple older men, people, recently about that company, just because I see their trucks all over, and they bought one on my block recently that they fixed up, but it isn't rented out yet. And I guess I kind of thought I don't know if they're like a rent to own. What does the acronym RTA?
Request for tenancy approval. So that's what they turn into if they're interested. If they have a unit picked out that they are interested in renting, it's a form that the landlord and tenant both fill out, and it has a list of who's paying what utilities, what the requested rent is. So that's filled out and turned into our office, and then that's what we review to see if it will work with their income and with our payment standards, and then that gets it set up for an inspection from there if it works out.
Okay. And you have quite a few Section 8 people with,
Easy Street, yes.
okay.
Yeah, they may buy and sell. I don't know exactly what they do
Yeah,
for
we
sure, but
don't
we have a
know
lot of
exact-
rentals.
Actually, I asked both the older people if, how much they knew about the company and if they had a good record as a landlord, or.
Yeah, we've been having some issues with
they
them. I
told me to
think,
contact, and I did put in a call. Guess it's not that big a deal because I didn't follow up with Rich Oswald, who's with the
City.
Public.
yeah,
I just didn't hear back from him yet, but
Okay.
I think this was just Friday, and
yeah.
I know he's a
Yeah, we have been having
busy
some
person.
issues.
I just had some general. I just wanted some
Yeah.
general.
We've had some
information.
issues with them, but hopefully we'll get those cleared up because they are a big, they do have a
Okay.
lot of units that we
I said I
have with
just
Section 8.
been noticing their trucks more and more
Yeah.
often,
Mhm.
fixing up buying places,
Right.
I guess.
So this is just general information for you guys, just
Okay.
to review. It's just what I'm kind of hearing throughout the office, still
Sure.
pushing for the 110, but I wanted to give you guys this information. And like I said, if
Will
you guys would
will
take
you
the
send
time,
this also,
I will, I'll
to,
scan it through email and send it to Mario
Sure.
and Yolanda. And it's obviously it's not anything I'm putting up for vote. I just wanted to kind of give you guys some information on it. If the time would come that we would want to increase it, by all means, I'll put a resolution together. But at this time, I was just giving it to you guys to review.
Sure.
Okay, can you explain this to me then? You said that the tenant would be responsible for 30% of their income, and that would be for the rent and the utilities and everything.
Correct.
So this is, of course, that's the fair market.
Fair market.
And this would be like the 105% or the 110% would be what the city would, not really the city, but the program and stuff would want to pay for the rent on these?
So the way it works, they still pay 30% of their income. So the fair market rent is just what they can go up to for rent and utilities. So say like the 1-bedroom is $646. If they can find a 1-bedroom where rent is like $575, and then we actually have a chart that we use for their utilities, what they would be responsible for. So say the rent and utilities total was $630, then it would work. They can't go over this amount unless they want to pay a little bit more than 30% of their income.
Okay, gotcha.
So it's two separate things. Some people get confused on that with our program. They think that we're going to pay this 646. We don't pay 646 unless there's zero income. If they have no income, then we pay all their rent and utilities. But if they have income, they're paying 30%, and then they get subsidized from HUD. So the income is a separate issue from the payment standard. But if they want to find something for $675, then they can go over their income. Instead of paying 30% of their income, they would pay whatever extra that would amount to as percentage-wise. We do, it is allowed to go up to 40% of their income to make it work. So our subsidized amount stays the same. It's just that they would be paying more of their income.
Okay.
And that has to go through our office. They can't just tell us they're going to pay 30% and then go to the landlord and give them an extra $20. They can't do that. That's illegal.
Gotcha. The other question I had for you, you sent out an email to us about a housing group meeting. You're going to something Tuesday.
November 6th, I think it is.
It's a Tuesday, which is
Wednesday.
city election day,
It
I
was
know,
Wednesday.
so I'm busy then, but.
There was another one that they were having too.
Right.
It was just in a different location. I think one was like in Rock Island or something. I just picked this one because it was at our library here in
Yeah.
town.
The
So
library was on Wednesday, November 6th.
Oh, was it Wednesday?
Mhm.
Okay, I'll double check. I'll read it again. I didn't erase it. I don't
What
know.
is that about?
they just have a lot of different not officials. I mean, it can be non-for-profits, can be city officials, whoever wants to go and talk about the housing needs in the city. They just bring together a big group of people, whoever's interested in talking about it, the shelters, different cities.
So you don't really have to go to talk, you can just go to listen
Yeah.
then too.
Is that the Main Street Library?
Nope, it's
No.
at Fairmont.
Which I thought was, and I'm not complaining to you, but the person from the city, Overton, what's her, forget her first name, who sent it out, but
Oh, Megan, I think.
Megan, that's it. And I didn't send it out, but I thought, well, there's a lot more housing needs in the central city area, and they're having it at one of the most inaccessible.
Yeah, it's
furthest
not,
away
but it's
from-
not for tenants. It's
Well, it was.
it's the like the official, like people that are trying to bring in housing. That's who meets at these, and they try and figure out where the housing needs are. Like they all come. Like there's banks that have been there. There's state officials that have come to them. I've been to a couple different ones.
So this
So
is an ongoing
It's not
thing?
it's not tenants that come to it. It's not even landlords. It's just anybody interested in bringing more housing, or what we need to provide more housing, more affordable housing. That's what this is for.
Well, there's always a lot of talk about it, but it always comes down to money, and nobody
Yeah.
has any money, so, or wants to spend any money.
Unfortunately, that's a big ticket issue.
Correct.
But that's what this meeting
Okay.
is they bring,
double check
is
that
a lot of
date,
people
too.
come to it and
For some
try and
reason,
come
I
up
had in
with a way.
mind that it was Tuesday, like, maybe that was one of the other ones, but I'll double check that, because I still have it in my inbox, so. I
And there
didn't-
were different ones at different places. That was just the
Right.
one that I was going to because it was
Okay.
here in Davenport. So.
I have one question.
Sure.
It was on the council meeting from last week, that there's, for heritage building restoration, for Werner Restoration Services, $45,000
It could be. It's probably from the fire.
from the fire.
Mm-hmm.
So,
It's through our insurance, so I don't see those numbers, but that would be what it's for. It's from our fire, and then they would have to make the decision if they were gonna go against the tenant. to make her pay for it.
Okay, because this is from the, finance department of the city.
Yeah, but it's through our risk department, so I don't manage their money, so I don't
Okay.
look at those numbers.
But
That's
he's-
a whole different ballgame with when it goes to insurance, and I don't have any part of
Okay.
that unless I ask questions. But that doesn't come out of our budget or anything. That's our insurance.
And Mr. Mattson is the head of the finance. He's the finance chair, so I guess maybe I'll be talking to him then.
Yeah,
What's
it-
it for?
Yeah, that's what it's for. I mean, it's the fine.
I figured it would be.
But as far as if they're going to recoup any of that money, they would have to go against the tenant.
And probably wouldn't.
Yeah, she's on a fixed low income, so
Okay.
yeah.
Has anybody heard about, any more about the housing they wanna put up east of the River Center? For the homeless, I think it was, and,
Wasn't for homeless.
well, that's what, I saw one article that said a little bit about the homeless, but it was, I guess, for low income.
That isn't part of it either.
It's not?
No. It's gonna be an apartment building / office building,
Okay.
at market rate apartments, that, there's a federal tax program to give
Okay.
investors, a pretty big write-off, but, it's something that's in the works, from my understanding of it.
Yeah, I haven't
Yeah.
heard anything.
I just read a little bit, not that much.
Okay, well, what's our gathering next month?
I think I was just looking at it today. November 18th.
Gosh. Getting to be fall, isn't it?
Yeah.
And Joyce
This
had,
is a forecast update from
Oh,
KWC
shut
Storm Weather Team.
and Joyce was talking about snowflakes when I walked in.
They were talking about it at the council meeting the other night, that December 4th is going to be the last council meeting for the year because they're going to be redoing the audios. So that means we probably won't have any kind of a meeting in here in December then, right?
I haven't heard anything about ours, but it just made me think of something else. We have, trying to think of it, November 12th. I don't know if you guys remember that we were doing a special meeting with the council. I sent it out months ago because they scheduled these like way in advance.
Forgot about that. I know
Yeah,
you said
but
s-
November 12th is, it's, I think it's in the police department maybe. But it's a joint council and housing meeting. It's at the police department, their conference room, and it's at 3:30. So that won't be we'll have that in addition to our commission meeting. I don't know exactly what that is going to entail. I think it's, the commission or the council is doing it with all boards. So that's just when ours is. I think they're just gonna discuss if there's any issues or concerns or, I don't know exactly what their agenda is. I haven't seen any paperwork on it or anything. I'll send out a email to remind you guys.
And what time of day did you say, 3?
3:30.
I believe that's, well, they have their so-called management meetings on.
Oh,
on
they're
those-
on Tuesdays. Yep.
But that is usually the day before the committee of the whole,
Correct.
and that would be the 5th and the 19th.
I don't know.
I'm not sure. Maybe they're doing it opposite for that reason, because they
Because-
already are scheduled for the 5th and the 19th, so they're doing it at opposite Tuesday.
That could be. Because those would be the only Tuesdays, the only time that I always go to those meetings that I wouldn't be able to reschedule for here.
Oh, gotcha. So November 18th is our next regular meeting, and then I'll have to find out about December. Nobody said anything to me about not meeting in here December, but I'll find out. I know they were moving the meeting up before Thanksgiving, I heard. They're gonna have it on Tuesday instead of Wednesday because of Thanksgiving, but I haven't heard anything about December meetings.
That's good to bring that up, Joyce. That didn't realize that that they were changing things in here. So
Well, at the meeting last week, half of the,
I can't remember.
these things weren't even working. They had to kind of share with everything back
Oh.
and forth.
Okay.
Technical difficulties.
Technology's great when it works
I
right.
know,
So. Okay, yeah, if you just give us a heads up on that, Destiny, that'd be great. So if there's no other questions, I will ask for a motion to adjourn our meeting.
Pass the motion and we'll adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. I guess it's a non-discussion, so we're adjourned.